What it is, y'all, it's your old boy Pilk, and I'm coming back with another Danmachi video. Now, today we're going to be talking about the latest heroic trial. Now, with this particular one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just ignore the typing down here. Because I kind of feel like this is going to be one of our go-to teams for the next year, and maybe even more, who knows. The light team is pretty nuts. Now, the one exception I would make to this is I really do feel like a lot of you guys really did not like the fact that I rated this Lazar so insanely high when I did my tier list. But let me kind of explain here. Because the thing is, I'm using this Lazar as a sack. But in reality, I would put him where Haruhime is on the team. I necessarily don't really need Haruhime here aside from the SA gauge charging. So honestly, if you don't have Haruhime at all for whatever reason, you mystery skipped or whatever, you can still use him and then just use this Fianna on your main team. The whole reason for that is because he gives an all allies strength buff that is insane. 120% strength for all allies for 2 turns. Remember, Fianna with her extra action will extend that. So it's pretty nutty. Though honestly, once we get our... Oops. Yeah, I'll go into it anyway. Once we get our... Whoopsie! Apparently I need to go fix some weapons. So, even once we get our SAs, it really won't matter how many turns you have left because our SAs are going to kill the opponent. But nevertheless, let's go in here and let's talk about this. Now, if you do have Haruhime, you could play along with this team. This team is pretty nuts. I like it a lot. So I'm going to come out of the gate with Haruhime skill 1. Now, I want to emphasize, too, if you don't have your units maximum broken, you'll be fine. These heroic trials really aren't that big of a deal. Personal opinion. But, you know, it is what it is. So, Haruhime skill 1. Then this Lazar, I'm going to go ahead and do his skill 2. That's going to give basically all of his buffs, his extra actions, everything he's going to need. Finn, also skill 2. In fact, we're never going to use his skill 3. We're just going to keep using his skill 2. And Helga is a sack. Now, Helga's a great unit here. But because we have 2 opponents, I'm going to focus on the single target damage. That said, Helga has a really good debuff here. Physical resistance down 40%, so we're going to utilize her for that. I'm trying to use all new units on this team because if you guys are new to the game, you just joined the game for the anniversary, you maybe don't have a bunch of older units, the units you got out of the current event are what you got. So for the next little bit, we're going to focus so much on these new units, these new teams. Some of y'all might get sick of it, but for new players, you guys are going to love it. You're going to see how versatile and how amazing these units are and how much you can just dominate so many events in this game. It was the same way last year and even the year before. The anniversary units are pretty nuts. Okay, Haruhime is then going to go do her skill 2. That's going to extend buffs and debuffs. Notice that that's the number one reason Fianna is floating is because she's going to come in turn 3 and then do her buffs and then buff replication. But Lazar's going to go ahead and do skill 1, or I'm sorry, his skill 3. Dyslexia, apparently. And we don't really need Finn's skill 3, so we're going to do his skill 1 to get a lot of big single target attacks. Now, I'm going to go ahead and focus on Haruhime. It doesn't really matter. I'd say focus on 1 at this point, and then, just kind of let the damage build. Okay? Lazar. Now, Lazar's mainly here for his debuff here. Single target damage 30%. So we're going to do his skill 1, and while that is going to do some major damage to Haruhime, not so much to Aisha. You'll see why I'm doing this. It'll make a lot more sense here in just a few moments. But nevertheless, there we go. Haruhime is going to take a lot more single target damage than Aisha will. There's a reason for that, and I'll explain here shortly. So, now I've got Fianna. Now I'm going to do this Haruhime's skill 2 one more time. You don't want to do it too many times because it is very, very, very cost heavy on your MP, but we will do it one more time to make sure buffs and debuffs and everything stay in play. Okay, Lazar's then going to go to do his single target. Finn's going to stay on his single target, and Fianna's going to do her skill 3. That's going to give her a little bit of SA gauge charging and give everybody a few buffs. But mostly it's just for the SA gauge charging. So here we go. Boom. Boom. And alternatively, you really could, in theory, swap where Fianna and Haruhime are in this team. This is not an event where you're going to need a ton of counter healing, unless your units are low level. So really, Fianna and Haruhime could be interchangeable. And like I said, you could even swap Haruhime for the Earth Lazar and be just fine. I mean, just fine. The only difference being that you would want Earth Lazar to be in slot 1, and Fianna you almost always want to have in the back slot. But nevertheless, you could change up the arrangement ever so slightly. So turn 4 is another big turning point in battle. Watch Haruhime's health as we do turn 4. And this is the number one reason. Normally I run with icons on, but this time I'm going to run with icons off, because I want you to watch her health just melt away. Haruhime's going to do single targets, everybody else is on their single target, and she's on her single target. Let's go. Okay? So a lot of damage being dealt there. A ton of damage being dealt there. Now, I've got choices to make here. So I've got Aisha here. And I could do some essays here. Now, Lazar will do a foes plural big attack with physical. It gives himself physical magic resistance, but gives everyone strength and magic debuffs. So allies remove strength and magic debuffs, but also gives light attack damage 100%. So everyone's going to get light damage 100% here. Now, Haruhime would give everyone strength 120%. So let's see here. Let's make some educated decisions. So Lazar, let's see. Physical resist. Where's the strength? His strength is only 40%, so he actually probably could use that. Finn, let's see here. Agility dex, strength is 70%, light attribute 70%. But here's the deal. Let's see. So Finn does a 100% damage per self-strength buff with 4 additional actions, light, physical attack, and physical resist down 2 turns. Now, to be fair, that physical resist down 2 turns... I mean, of course, granted, that's on whoever he hits, but we're not going to get too much utilization out of that. So I'm not too keen on that. Fianna, on the other hand, does 100% with self-SAH charge buff effect, or per self-SAH charge buff effect, self 80% MP heal. Now, here's the other thing, is Fianna's kind of not in a great place with that, but both these units are going to hit pretty well. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to go ahead and use Haruhime's, give everybody 120% strength, 100% of everything else, and basically just hammer home from this point forward, you know, how amazing these units are. So here we go. Everybody's got big buffs, and Haruhime's pretty much going to fall, like, immediately. But notice Aisha's also suddenly at half health. So I'm going to focus on Aisha for the rest of this turn, do everybody's single targets, and Aisha should be gone turn 6. And Haruhime, in theory, should fall to the counters. Ooh, but they didn't take any... So here's the downside. My armor is so good, we didn't take any damage. So if I had, like, level 60 armors on, that this would have been an absolutely done deal on turn 6. But because I didn't take damage, because my armor is so strong... I didn't get any counters. Otherwise, Haruhime would be gone, and that's unfortunate. But that's just another sign of how beefy these units are. So, guys, turn 7 kill. We could have done this so much faster if we had gotten counters off. I just didn't even realize at that point that we weren't even countering. Plus, apparently one of my weapons wasn't nearly as effective because it needs to be rehammered. But nevertheless, guys, this team is bonkers. If you go back in here and you note, it does tell you to use a wind team. What was it? To either use wind or water. Obviously, if you've got last year's water team, you're going to crush this. But I wanted to focus on the new team. So if these units were at like +2, +3, they probably would have gotten those counters off and probably would have killed it just as fast. So play your cards right. You know, run this event. Do the best you can. if you have a team even remotely like this, if you invested in these anniversary units at all, you are going to do just fine, and you're going to just absolutely crush it. Now, here's the deal. Who should you go after here? Okay, so we have the Drenched Deity. That is, that Hestia, I think it's the Drenched Deity Hestia. Hazy Vixen, Haruhime, or the Aisha. Now, I can almost tell you I'm going to favor Aisha, so I'm going to save her for last. But let's go here to the album, and let's make an educated decision. So I'm going to go down here to the Hestia units first, because I always say that the that assists do tend to be a bit more favorable, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it. So where's the Drenched Deity? I think this is her. Yep, Drenched Deity Hestia. So, at full limit break, she's strength 20%, foes magic, endurance, and dex down 15%. That's a great skill, actually. Great skill for a lot of events, actually. Mostly a war game skill, though. So here's the deal, guys. The allies down strength 20%. We have power crept that pretty well. But if you do not have the new unit, then and I did say I kind of devalue the units now that do the strength up, that don't do other things. But she does enough stuff. I think she's all right. I can't remember the last time I used her, to be honest with you. So I'm gonna place her on the lower slot. I think I still like Aisha over her. Let's go take a look at Haruhime, okay? I'm actually gonna cheat and I'm gonna filter this down by Haruhime and Aisha units. So Haruhime, that one is it's the pink Haruhime, isn't it? Is it this one? Yeah, Foxy Vixen Haruhime. There we go. So, she does water physical damage to, or her SA does allies water attack damage plus 90%. That's already kind of like, that got power crept last year during the anniversary, so I'm already questioning that. Foes, strength dex and water attack damage plus 35%. Or, say, allies, strength dex and water attack damage 35%. That'd be pretty bad if you're buffing your foes. And self, 3 actions, low water physical attack. Super water physical attack with temporary strength boost. Allies 35% HP regen for 2 turns. That's actually pretty good. And foe high water physical attack 50% per each self water attack damage buff. So that's actually pretty good skills there. And she has a third skill that's not terrible. But Aisha. And if it's the Aisha I'm thinking it is, I think she's kind of the no-brainer here. Okay? Yeah. So fire attack damage 100% for all allies. She is insane for the fire team, and she's necessary for the fire team. So I'd say she's my number 1. Haruhime is my number 2, and just strangely enough, I think the assist got power crept enough during the anniversary that I put her at part 3. So I do Aisha, number 1. If you have Aisha maxed out, go for Haruhime. If you have Haruhime maxed out, go ahead and max Hestia, but I don't honestly think you use Hestia all that often. Maybe every once in a while, but not terribly often. So guys, that's my opinion. Let me know what you thought in the comments section down below, because generally a lot of people do disagree with me, and that's fine. It's my opinion, and you are entitled to your own. Let me know what you thought, and I'll catch you all in the next one.